Hey, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for coming today, wherever you are in the world. And thank you for everyone that is tuning into the recording as well. I know that with timing and kids, it can be a challenge. And so I'm just so grateful for you to be putting this time in for yourself, because that's really what it is. And loving yourself is really the key to stepping into this next version of yourself. And I believe that we all come to this earth with love. This is our frequency of what we can hold, and it's programmed out of us. And so it's returning back to that. It's returning back to that love within ourselves. And I have a really, really profound session for you today. Really, this session today is really all about building awareness. And when we're building awareness, it's opening up consciousness. It's expanding our consciousness, which is what we're here for. And if you don't know me, so my name is Gwen, and I'm a spiritual psychology coach. And my mission is really to guide spiritually awakening mothers with young kids back to love, guiding them back to stepping into their full power, and their limitless potential. Knowing that we all have this infinite intelligence within us. And when we can clear out our subconscious mind, clear out the traumas and the generational cycles that have really been playing out in our life, we're able to bring miracles in, and really transform our children. I have always thought my mission here is to change the world. Since I was a little girl, I became a teacher, and I really saw the future is with our children, and that's where my role was to change the world with our children. But then becoming a mother, I realized that we can't actually shift our children without healing ourselves. And it is with healing the mother that we heal the world. And so I just really want to recognize you as a powerful mother, and recognize that you are changing the world, and it starts with us. I really believe that. So um, I'm just so excited. The downloads have been absolutely insane this week, and the lessons I've had one lesson after another, and each one of the upsets and challenges I've had in the last week have really brought me to clarity on self-love and being able to stand here as a leader and guide you today. So um, I think that what we'll do is we'll start with a spiritual mind treatment. And if you're new to my world, spiritual mind treatments are really using the power of our mind to direct energy. And we direct energy by focusing our attention on what we want instead of what we don't want. And most of the time we spend in anxiety and worry. And so when we are focusing our mind on what we do want, that's we're directing that energy, and that's where the magic is. And so we'll start with a spiritual mind treatment and connecting in. And throughout the session today, we're building a lot of awareness. And so it's really important to stay in the body. And it can be quite easy, especially when things get uncomfortable, to want to leave. And so just being mindful of that. And when things do get uncomfortable, or you're feeling a little bit like you're going into that flight fight response, and that might feel like, oh, like you want to just go and do something else. You need to be busy, and you'll watch the recording later, or turning the recording off and not coming back, or making me wrong and not wanting to listen to me anymore. Those kind of reactions are our ego kicking in. And so a way that we can support ourselves is just by taking a deep breath in and wiggling our fingers and our toes. And that just helps us come out of that flight fight and back into that calm, regulated nervous system. So that'll really help us. So just remembering that as we go through this session, and go through lots of descent, we're going into talking a lot about darkness and a lot about traumas and things that have impacted us. Remembering when our body is feeling that uncomfortability, just to come back to that breath and wiggling your fingers and toes. So if you'll join me, we will start by just closing our eyes down. and taking a deep breath in, and then I will lead you through a spiritual treatment. So bring your hands together, taking a deep breath in and out, really grounding into the, uh, if you can picture the earth below you, just grounding into the earth below you, wherever you're at. Taking another deep breath in and out, making sure your spine is erect and just coming into the body. And just, we'll actually start with a body scan today and just starting inward uh, gaze to your head and just coming down your forehead, your eyes, your nose, your mouth, and just asking, how am I today? What messages does my body have today for me? Moving down your throat, your chest. And as you go, if you find any tightness, anything that's stiff, just taking a deep breath and sending this area some love and out, coming down to your belly, your womb space, your arms, your legs, your hips. Taking another deep breath in and out, your hips, your legs, your knees, your toes. I'm just so grateful to be here, so grateful to have you here and be holding this masterclass today and to be talking about self-love, loving ourselves. And just recognizing that the love is within us. It is always there. And just recognizing that when we can clear out our subconscious mind, clear out trauma, we can connect back into the truest version of ourselves, this love, this oneness within us. I'm just so grateful to be able to guide us there today. So declaring a powerful, powerful masterclass full of insights and new discoveries and a deepening of connection within ourselves. I just say thank you, knowing that this is already done. And so with so much love and gratitude, together we say, and so it is. Taking one last deep breath in here. And when you're ready, you can come back to this present moment. So today, our Loving Ourselves Masterclass, we're going to start off by talking about the descent. And when I mean the descent, I mean our shadow, the darkness within us. And I know that we cannot find this love that we're looking for if we do not love all of ourselves. And that means that we need to look in our darkest, deepest areas as well. And those are the places that we have just put away and we don't want to look at. And I know that this is really important to find that love for ourselves. And so we will be talking about the descent first. We'll talk about self-sacrificing, self-abandonment, self-sabotage and shame and guilt and negative self-talk. And so we'll get into each one of those. We'll then go into looking at strategies for building self-love. And then it was really powerful. I was driving last week and I had this vision. And so we're going to dive into talking about that download that I had and how self-love really is a powerful antidote to other people's projections of us. And so when we're worrying about other people, and worrying about what other people will think of us, love is really a shield for us. So we'll dive into that. Then we'll talk about the law of attraction and how we create, how we are powerful creators all of the time, but how to use this ability to create what we truly desire in our life. We'll talk about boundaries, and then we'll talk about how you can go deeper with me if you feel called to. So, before we get started on the descent, I just wanted to talk briefly about the subconscious mind. So, if you haven't worked with me in the past, I spend a lot of time working with the subconscious mind, and I really find that it's important to understand the subconscious mind so that we can understand how our beliefs um, and how we speak to ourselves and our thoughts really impact our current circumstances. So, our subconscious mind, and if you look at your workbook, and so hopefully you have your workbook with you, and some paper and pen. So if you look at your workbook, I put in a picture of a ship. And so this is an analogy that I use frequently for explaining the subconscious mind. But the subconscious mind, and there's another picture in there of an iceberg. And so we spend almost 97% of our day in the subconscious mind through patterns. And so our subconscious mind is playing out in our life all day, every day. And so this can look like a pattern is when you wake up in the morning, you go make yourself a tea or coffee, and you grab something to eat, and you sit on the couch or whatever your pattern is in the morning. That's or in the evening, you get the kids to get in their pajamas, you read a story, you brush their teeth, and you get them to bed. These are the patterns that we have in our lives. And you can think of the same thing with driving a car. When we learn how to first learn how to drive a car, we're in our conscious mind. And then when we are driving 20 years later, I can't believe it's been 20 years since um, I learned to drive a car, but 20 years later, I'm not really consciously thinking about what I'm doing a lot of the time. I might be on the phone or paying attention to the kids, and really my subconscious mind is driving the car. And so this is how the subconscious mind supports us throughout our day. And it's really important to understand how it works, because it's not a bad thing. It's not a good thing. It's just, this is a system within our body. And when we understand how it works, we're able to use it to support us. And so just like with driving the car, we have patterns in our life that are playing out within our relationships, with our health, with our career, with our money. There are cycles that are always playing out. And so a lot of the time we are unaware of these cycles. And how the analogy goes is a ship. If on a ship, you're going to have workers that are going to be underneath, and this is before technology. So you had physical workers that were in the ship, and they were moving the ship. And so the captain is on top of the ship, on the top deck, and he's the one that's ordering the workers underneath to move. And so the workers are just going to say yes. They're just going to obey the commands of the captain. And so how this is same is that the subconscious mind is the workers in the ship. And so the subconscious mind is always just going to say yes. It's just going to take a pattern and then just play it out over and over and over again. Where the conscious mind is the one that can declare and decide what is a belief, what to think, what to believe, and how our circumstances are going to play out. And so a lot of the time we have beliefs and thoughts in our subconscious mind that are just running wild, and they are what's going to determine where our ship goes, where our circumstances are going to go. And so with the work that I do, we look at, okay, well, if we're not happy with the circumstances in our life, we really need to look at what's in the subconscious mind, what is driving your ship, so that we can consciously take that power back and move our ship where we want it to go. And so this is something to be aware of as we dive into the descent to what is our subconscious mind? What are the patterns that we have just accepted playing out in my life? And when we're creating awareness, with that awareness, we're able to then consciously choose, okay, I don't want this pattern in my life anymore. I don't want this generational cycle. And that's what a generational cycle is. It's something that has been playing out repetitively from past from our parents and from our grandparents, and it's just handed down until someone consciously says, this is not for me anymore. I'm going to choose something different. And you can see it in many different ways. And so generational cycles are talked about a lot within the gentle parenting realm when, we've decided I was parented with spanking and my parents were parented with physical aggression. And so it's, okay, I'm going to say, no, that's not what I'm going to do. I'm going to consciously decide that I'm doing something different in my parenting style. And so we're just creating awareness so that then we can choose how we want to show up. So it's just really, really important to understand that backing as we go into the descent. And I'm just going to welcome in. Welcome, welcome. We're just talking about the subconscious mind and about to get started on the descent. So this masterclass is all around shining light on the shadow aspects of ourselves. And it's shaking things up. It's really shaking up these suppressed beliefs that we have within our subconscious mind, and being able to create that awareness so that we can consciously choose something. And I'll just quickly go over the subconscious mind again. Hi, Irene. I just wanted to say, I just described the subconscious mind, and so what we're going to so what it is quickly is that the subconscious mind is like a ship, and there's a captain of the ship. The workers of the ship are moving the boat, and then and where's the boat going? And that's the same as our lives and our subconscious mind. So we have the captain of the boat is our conscious mind, and the workers of the boat are our subconscious mind, and then our circumstances in our life are where the ship is going. And so it's really important that we have awareness of our beliefs in our subconscious mind so that we can consciously choose where we want our boat to go instead of our subconscious mind just playing out patterns in our life without our awareness. And so that's what we're doing today. Today is filled with awareness, and really just shaking up things that we haven't really, we don't really have that conscious awareness that are playing out in our life so that we can then choose something different. And as I said already, when we expand consciousness, it does bring up feelings of being uncomfortable, and it activates our flight fight response. And so if you're feeling triggered and you want to shut this off, or you want to make me wrong, you can't sit still, just giving yourself compassion, and then taking a deep breath in and out, wiggling your fingers and your toes. It'll help you come back into balance. And then that'll help you be able to continue to stay in your body as we move through this. And that's really, really important that we're staying in our body while we move through this and expanding consciousness. So how are we doing? If you have any questions as we go, feel free to just drop them in the chat box and I can answer them. I will check in with you guys a little bit. There's no real interacting, but we'll get you to kind of take some time to kind of have a few thoughts, and I'll ask a few questions as we go. So let's get started. The descent. So I love the descent. This is something that through this work, my darkest moments have brought my greatest light. And so I can see the power of being able to descend and to understanding my darkness, and then being able to really love that aspect of myself as well. And that's where the magic is when we can really truly love all aspects of ourselves. And so self-sacrificing is the first one. And so I just want to have you close your eyes, and if you're recording, watching the recording, to do the same, and you can pause it if you want some extra time here as well, and just see what comes up when I say self-sacrificing in your life. Where in your life do you see yourself self-sacrificing? And you can write in the comments if anything powerful comes up. I asked this question to me as I was writing this plan out, and even now, many years after I've gone through this descent, stuff was still coming up where I'm self-sacrificing, and so this is really, really powerful to look at. We we play out self-sacrificing in our life a lot of the time because of trauma, and especially women play out the self-sacrificing role. And so it's being able to create that awareness is really powerful. And so some of the different roles that are played out, the martyr in motherhood is a big, big one, especially because it's celebrated in our society. We have perfectionism, overgiving, people pleasing, and even sometimes the role of caretaker and caregiver is self-sacrificing, and tendency what we have when we have these trauma bonds. And so being able to look at, okay, why am I doing something? And if it's not because it's you know, something that you really want to do, looking at looking at the reasons why you're doing it. And so, children are wired from birth that for safety and survival. And so attachment is really, really important. And it's basically their number one tool for survival. And so kids are always looking for approval from their parents, and they learn strategies to stay safe. And so the ego really takes on this protective, it protects us. And so when we learn that we get positive feedback from staying quiet, from helping others, from pleasing others, we learn we are wired that this is how we stay safe. And this is huge within mothers and within women, is that this is how we stay safe. And so we stay small. We've learned that it's not safe to rock the boat. It's not safe to share our opinions. With the martyr, we have to, sacrifice everything that we have for our families. That to be a good mother, this is what is required. And it really keeps us in our struggle. And it's part of our culture. It's celebrated. You say, "Oh, look at that super mom," but actually, that mom is suffering inside because she feels she has to do this to be a good mom. And so, being able to kind of see where this is playing out in your life, and understanding the reasons why. I would have been all of them. I was the martyr, the perfectionist, the overgiver, the people pleaser. These were all part of my everyday experience, and I didn't understand why. I would be the first to admit, oh, I was a people pleaser, but I did not understand why I was doing it. And when I looked at, oh, I'm doing that because I don't feel safe if people don't like me, and that was a huge realization that this was actually a form of manipulation. It wasn't actually me just being a really kind person. I was doing this out of survival to keep myself safe. And so when we can understand this, we can go, wait a second, I'm deciding I'm not going to be that people pleaser anymore, that I'm okay with people not liking me. And the perfectionism as well, it's that sense of control, and needing people to think a certain thing about me. And so I was trying to control what other people's opinions were of me, which is impossible. But I was trying, and unfortunately, I was really struggling. And so having this awareness of what self-sacrificing does to us, and being able to decide that we're not going to self-sacrifice anymore. Because when we sacrifice self, the only person that loses is ourselves. Everyone else gains from us self-sacrificing, especially in this section with these roles. We're taking care of everyone else, so it's a really hard one to um, yeah, to work through, because we feel like a good person when we do this, but we are suffering, and our relationship with ourselves, our connection with ourselves is suffering. And so this is somewhere that it's really important to look at. How are we doing? If you let me know in the comments if you're okay, or if you had any thoughts come up through that. Um, so the next one is self-abandoning, and this goes hand in hand with self-sacrificing, because really we are self-abandoning um, when we are in those people-pleasing roles. So the inner trust, when we self-abandon, there's two ways to self-abandon. So oh, sorry, Marissa, you just said perfectionist, and it's a struggle to get out of. Sometimes I know it's about the control. Yes. And so um, it's really when we can let go of that control, and this is something that I work with moms one-on-one with in my programs. Um, but when we can release that control, we can really come back to that love for ourselves. And as we go, you'll see how the love is the key to creating what we desire in our life. And so we'll keep going, but thank you for that. And um, when we can have that that awareness, and then being able to shift it, and letting go of that control, and letting go of needing to control what other people think of us, we can really step into that power. So going back to self-abandoning, so there's two different ways you can self-abandon. Um, there's self-abandoning your trust within yourself, and then your emotions. So we'll talk about both. So with your trust with yourself, it's something that we have been programmed out of. And this is something that I said at the beginning, was that we are born with love, and it's programmed out of us. And these are different, these different ways that we're talking about are ways that have been programmed out of us. And so with trust, from an early age, we are taught that adults know better than us. We're taught that we don't know the answers. You can't be full. Hurry up, finish your plate. And when we need that approval from our parents, when we are putting that, we need that attachment and those bonds, we're choosing our parents and that external feedback over ourselves. That's because that is where our survival is. And so when we're pulled out of listening to someone else rather than listening inwardly, we are disconnecting with ourselves, which is huge. And this is everywhere. And I'll be the first to say that in my 20s, I didn't trust myself, not in a second. And so this is something that I've had to work on, and trusting myself more than anything else. And we're going to get into where we're anchored later on, and being externally anchored and internally anchored. But when we can have that self-love, we're able, and trusting ourselves, it deepens our relationship. And so just to be able to, and we're going to get into this more as well, is learning how to trust ourselves, and building that connection back up. And so then the other way is emotions. And this is something, unfortunately, is very, 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 very common in our society, and something that we're programmed as well, very young. And even, I can find myself with my kids, trying to get them to stop crying, or we're busy and we have lots on, and we're without that awareness, or even with that awareness, sometimes we fall back into those loops of making their feelings wrong. And so we have generations of people that feel like their emotions are wrong, that they can't be angry, that it's not okay. It's this that they're being too sensitive. That it's not okay to be upset about that. That is stupid to be upset about this. Um, and when we are not trusting our emotions and making our emotions wrong, we are self-abandoning ourselves because those emotions are here to support us. And so it's really, 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 really important um, to connect in with our emotions and to listen to the messages that they are giving us, and they are guiding us to our, and they're full of wisdom. And so when we can listen to our emotions, we are deepening that connection within ourselves. And so it's really, really, really powerful um, to have that awareness. Um, and when you start crying in public, oh, I shouldn't, sorry, I shouldn't be upset. Even those quickest moments, that is self abandoning yourself. And so just to be able to validate yourself, validate the emotions, validate the anger. A lot of the time, women have been told that it's not okay to be angry, um, that we're over dramatic, and unfortunately, that's helping us to self-abandon and to make our feelings wrong. And so to be able to honor that anger, and we'll get into that a little bit more, but to have sacred rage and be able to listen to those emotions is really, 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 really powerful for building that connection and self-love. So the next one is I hope we're doing okay. So wiggling your fingers and toes, taking a deep breath. And if any thoughts you have, you can write them in the chat, and we can talk about them. I think there's one here. This is just Marissa. Yeah, so you can type in the chat if anything comes up for you. And so I just want you to close your eyes and think about self-sabotage. So when in your life, or it might happen frequently, are you self-sabotaging? Just sit with that for a second. And sometimes we don't even have the awareness that we are self-sabotaging. And hopefully this masterclass will give you that awareness around it. But when we have been brought up with trauma responses, our ego is comfortable with the familiar. And so, if we have a lot of trauma in our life, those cycles of trauma playing out is familiar for our ego. And so, when things are good in your life, it will start to feel uncomfortable. And this is when we can find ourselves self sabotaging. And having this awareness around this. So if you can start seeing the patterns playing out in your life. So if you feel like as soon as things are getting good, everything falls apart, this might be for you to look at. And so, or you find yourself in a relationship. This happened to me in my 20s. I'd find myself in a relationship, and the good guys were always boring to me. And this is the self-sabotaging. I was not interested in the good guys, the kind guys, the guys that treated me well. I was interested in the guys that were jerks. And this was my trauma bonds playing out. And so just being able to be aware of where self-sabotaging is showing up in your life, and it might not be your relationships, it could be your career, it could be with your health. I had a client that, she felt like she was getting attention when she was sick. And so this belief was playing out like, oh, well, when I'm sick, I get attention. And then so it is, right? So if she's striving for attention, or she's needing attention in her life, and she'll just get sick, and then she'll get the attention she needs. And so having this awareness around where we're sabotaging ourselves, and then being able to consciously choose something different, is really, really, really powerful. The next one I want to talk about, and this one is really powerful, is shame and guilt. And so closing your eyes and letting consciousness guide. Where in your life do you hold shame? Just closing your eyes, and what are you ashamed of? What are you unwilling to talk about? See what comes up for you. Um, Quickly, we'll do an emotional overview. So, in your workbook, I put in a chart. And if you haven't done work with me before, and you're not aware of how our emotions support and guide us, I'm just going to do a quick overview today. So, emotions are energy in motion. So, when we can understand this, um, it's really, really powerful to see how they impact us and our bodies. So each emotion has a different frequency, and so a frequency, and I'm not going to get into it. So if you don't know what frequency and vibration are, book a session with me, and we will be able to look into that. But each emotion has a different vibration, different frequency. And so when they are in our body, they're going to feel different. And so when you're looking at the chart within the workbook, you'll see that the heavier, denser emotions. So when we talk about depression, when we talk about victimhood, when we talk about pain, um, grief, shame, those are really heavy, dense emotions compared to the light emotions of happy. And then we go up. So we have grateful, peace, love. They are high frequency um, emotions, and we feel them differently. I'll get off the call from my best friend and I feel light. And whereas if I've had a really rotten day, I'm feeling really heavy. And we actually use this terminology within the English language. And so being able to understand how they impact our body, and then understanding if we are holding on to a lot of suppressed emotions, holding on to a lot of shame within our life, that's going to have impact on our baseline frequency. So a frequency is like kind of like a radio station. So everything has a vibration, and that's everything in life. Like my tea is going to have a vibration to it, just like any emotion. And so when we are holding those emotions within our body is going to have an overall frequency. And this is what we're going to be attracting with, and we're going to talk about law of attraction and creation, is we are creating that which we are. We are creating from the vibration that we are. And so when we have a really dense emotion stuck within us, then we are not able to really create what we truly desire. We are not going to be able to feel that deep love for ourselves when we are carrying a lot of shame. And so when we talk about loving ourselves, it's talking about loving those aspects of ourselves, loving the deepest, darkest parts of yourself, and knowing that you are love, you are love itself. And so being able to give ourselves compassion and and loving the dark parts of ourselves. And I'd love to see how you guys are, if that's making you feel really squirmy and and uncomfortable, because this is what happens when we have that shame. Um, so when we have that shame within our body, um, it doesn't like it doesn't like feeling that compassion. It we our ego is wants to keep it stuck. It wants to keep it down. It doesn't want to let it move. And because to let it move means that we have to feel it. And our ego does not want to do that. We have been told over and over and over again that we're not feeling this. And so we want to just keep it suppressed. And really the answer to creating the life that we truly desire is in feeling our feelings, feeling that shame, moving that shame. And that's where the trauma work comes in, moving through that shame so that we can see the wisdom in it, We can find the compassion for ourselves, that love for all aspects of ourselves. And I know this can be really challenging and it can make us feel really challenging. So let's just take a deep breath in, wiggling your fingers and your toes, staying with me if this is uncomfortable. Um, but it's creating this awareness around it, right? And so when I asked you what kind of shame comes up, maybe jotting that down and just having that awareness that this is stuff that needs to be moved and felt. So we'll move on. Um, so the last one I want to talk about with the descent, and then I promise it won't be so heavy after this if you're having a hard time. Um, so the last one is negative self-talk. And so if we go back quickly to the subconscious mind and how the subconscious mind is really moving our ship, right? And so when you have the subconscious mind rooted in trauma, you are going to be creating from that. And so when you can catch yourself in that negative self talk, or you can see and have that awareness of those negative cycles that you get in, we are always creating. It's not that we only create when we are, sitting with a journal or in meditation. We are always creating. Our thoughts are powerful. And so when we are in that negative self talk, which is a trauma response, when we're in that negative self talk, we are creating from that, which is really, really powerful. So if you catch yourself saying, everything always goes to shit, and so it is. Nothing ever works out for me, and so it is. I always mess up, and so it is. I'm a terrible mother, and so it is. And so being aware of our negative self talk, having compassion for ourselves, because we cannot find self love when we want, now we're tearing ourselves up about having negative self talk, right? It doesn't work. And so having that compassion around ourselves, so that we can have that, create that awareness and being able to shift it. And this is something that I work really, really closely with clients on, is being able to shift our self-talk and being able to use declarations to direct energy to what we truly desire. So yeah, really, really important. And this is, I guess, the trauma work is really important when it's sticky. So we have so much in our subconscious mind, and some of the stuff is really simple to shift. Like, oh, okay, I'm not going to say that anymore. But some stuff is really sticky and it's really hard to shift, and that's the stuff that is rooted around trauma. And so when we have those sticky beliefs about ourselves, they feel really true to us, that's when the trauma work is needed, so that we can shift out of that trauma response and being able to have a new truth. And that's what happens when we go through trauma processes, is being able to start resonating with a different truth. So instead of being resonating that I always mess up, um, knowing that my mistakes are perfect and divine, and really, really knowing that and declaring that for yourself. And when we can integrate those declarations and resonate with that new truth, that's when the magic happens. So we'll get more into that as we go. But that is really, really, those are the descent. So let me know how you're going in the chat. If you're watching the recording, if you feel like you need to pause the video and just kind of write out what's coming up for you, because with this awareness, we go, whoa, I see myself doing this, and I see myself doing that, and oh my God, I do that, and oh my goodness. It's really, really, really important to work on compassion. And we're going to do a meditation soon around building compassion for ourselves. And which is really, really powerful, to be able to support and hold ourselves like we're our ourselves best friend. We need to hold ourselves like we're our best friend. And what would you say to your best friend going through this? Really, really important. Okay, so How are we doing? Um, let's move on. Just switch up my notes. So we're moving into tools for loving ourselves. So the inner work is and the descent are is truly the number one way that we can build that self-love for ourselves. And when we can have that awareness and then build compassion around our trauma and then working through our traumas and processing our traumas and being able to clear out the subconscious mind, um, that's where we come back to love. We're coming back home to that love frequency, which that is already inside of us. Um, and that's really, really important to be able. And I don't know, Irene, if you heard at the beginning, but at the beginning I said it's really that we are love. We are born that. We are born the love frequency within us, and we are programmed out of it in many, many different ways. And our culture is definitely not supporting us to stay in that love frequency. With lots of different in lots of different areas of the descent that we've spoken about. So it's really important that when we do the inner work, when we love the darkest, deepest parts of ourselves, um, we're able to really create that what we desire. So let's move on. So tools for loving ourselves. So yes, our inner work. Um, but when we start looking at, when I said the self-abandoning, one of the best strategies that we can do is start to trust ourselves, start to listen to our inner voice. And a lot of people say, "Oh, well, I'm not connected. I'm not connected to my intuition. Like I don't have an inner voice." And so it's just starting to build a relationship with your inner voice. And you can start doing this just by spending time and setting a day aside where you're going to say, "I'm going to listen." And check in with your body. So your body's always giving you responses. And so you're going to get a yes response or you're going to get a no response. And so being able to differentiate between the yes response and a no response, and then asking yourself throughout the day. So, like, do I want to have cereal for breakfast? Okay, that's a no. And so, listening to that no and being able to be like, okay, like, what do I want for breakfast? And then and seeing what comes up and following the yeses. And so the more we do this in our lives, and we can start small by something that is insignificant, and then we can get bigger and bigger by being able to trust ourselves with the bigger things and knowing that our body is just full of wisdom and being able to really see that this is a connection to the divine within us. Um, and so it might not be logical sometimes, and that's the hardest part. And so being able to trust yourself and then being able to yeah, deepen that connection. And so your integration work that's in your workbook, that is one of the activities, but really important to, after a day of listening to your yeses and nos, sit and journal with it and just and journal about what has happened and what was the circumstances and experiences that came from listening to your yeses and your nos. Really, really powerful. So mirror work, which is another one of your integration activities, is really, really important. And so just asking yourself, like, are you able to look at yourself in the mirror? Um, and if you are able to, because there's a lot of people that can't even look at themselves in the mirror, if you are able to look at yourself in the mirror, are you able to say, "I love you"? And this is something that we want to work towards. And so being able to integrate this into our daily routine is so important. And being able to spend a couple of minutes in front of the mirror. And if you're naked, it's even better. And loving all of ourselves, loving this body that has created beautiful humans, has supported us up until now. Um, and this in this life, right, with it's done so much for us. And so to shower it with gratitude and shower it with affirmations, and I think I put some affirmations in your workbook as well. But the more that we do this, the more we're connecting in with ourselves. So, really, really powerful activity. And then just spending time with yourself. I have a lot of clients that come to me and they don't like being alone. And so asking yourself, like, do I like being alone? And if you don't, just carving out time away from everyone. I know that I was super, super, super codependent. And the thought of being alone just made me so uncomfortable, so uncomfortable. And so being able to take that time for yourself is really, really important. Um, Okay, so the next one is a meditation. And so just even meditating by itself, any kind of meditation, and you can um, use, there's a really great app called Insight Timer, which is INSIGHT. And so if you download that, there is thousands of meditations, free meditations that you can do for yourself. So just having that, if you've never meditated before, having a guided meditation can support you. Spending time with yourself in silence is really powerful as well. And this gets easier, especially when we start doing the trauma work and we're able to turn off that negative self-talk. And then this meditation that I'm going to guide you through today is around it's a heart meditation and it's using a mantra. And so this is something that I use throughout my day. And this is something that I will sit with when I'm having a hard time sometimes and just repeat these 4 words. And this is something I really actually like being able to focus on something in a meditation. I find that easier when I'm having a hard moment than just being in silence. And so being these 4 words you're going to repeat, and it's just sitting with yourself for a couple of minutes and repeating these 4 words. And so it's compassion, innate harmony, healing presence, and unconditional love. And so being able, if you can, being able to, even just for a week, try to do 5 minutes a day and just seeing the difference. And so if this is something that where you have a hard time holding love and compassion for yourself, this is a great strategy for building your frequency within you, or I should say, raising your frequency within you so that you are able to hold yourself while you're going through the descent. And that's really what it's all about, is when we go into that darkness, being able to hold ourselves through it. And so um, if you are not busy, I know, Marissa, you're in Australia, but just starting your day. But if you're not busy and you're not driving, you can close your eyes down now. I'm just going to play some music and I will repeat the mantra for you so that you don't have to remember it. And if it's easier, sometimes I just say harmony. Instead of saying innate harmony and healing presence, I just say harmony and healing. So it's up to you if you want to use the whole word, or if you want to, or sorry, the whole phrase, or if you want to just use a word. I'm going to put some music on. I hope that you can hear that. Can you guys give me a thumbs up if you can hear that? Or a yes, or okay. Oh, you can't. Hmm. Is that better? I think that Zoom like takes out music. Is that better or no? If not, gonna have to, we'll just have to, if not, we'll just have to do it to me. That's fine. Yeah. Okay. I'll just have the music playing. If you can't hear it, I'll just leave it and we'll just do the meditation. So closing your eyes down. Okay. I'll just turn it off so it's not jolting. Sorry about that, guys. So we're just going to close our eyes down, taking a deep breath in and out. Deep breath in and out. And just repeating after me. Compassion, innate harmony, healing presence, unconditional love. 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 Taking a deep breath in. One last time. Compassion, innate harmony, healing presence, unconditional love. Just taking another deep breath in here. And just noticing the effects within your body. When you're ready, you can come back. I'd love to hear if you noticed anything, even just for that short period of time with those mantras. I can notice the effects within me. My fingers are tingly, and I can just feel that lightness and that moving energy within me. So that is a really, really, really powerful meditation, and one that I highly recommend as we're working on the descent. And so when we're sitting with the negative self-talk, when we're sitting with that awareness of wow, I'm really self-sacrificing right now, and it feels really uncomfortable to put boundaries in place. Being able to sit with ourselves and just being able to um, close our eyes, even with our kids around, and just repeat those 4 words. Um, just a couple of times, even when you're driving, your eyes don't even have to be closed, but just even having our intentions to focus on those words has a healing ability. So really, really, really powerful. So we're going to move on to the next step of this masterclass, and trying to stay on time, knowing that we're all busy. So I mentioned at the beginning of the masterclass that had had a few downloads throughout the week preparing for this masterclass, and this vision that I had this vision of love being a protective shield that is put up. When we fully love ourselves, we have this protective shield that around us, and other people's projections of us just like ping off. So when you think about that, if you had 7 people and you did something every one of those people are going to have a completely different perspective of what happened based on their perceptions, their trauma, their understanding, their education. They're all going to think something different of you. And when we can understand that we can't control what other people think of us, we can be free. You know, my sister, she hates people giving her gifts because, and so when when I give lots of gifts, just when I was in my people pleasing and needing to overgive, thinking that everyone would think that I was really kind, well, that can actually be seen as selfish. And so there is someone that's going to think that what you're doing is wrong no matter what. And so when we can realize that we actually can't control it, it frees us to show up authentically ourselves. And that is where our love is, when we can be ourselves. And so this vision of self-love being that protective shield is so powerful. When we love ourselves deeply, it doesn't matter if someone thinks I'm irresponsible. It doesn't matter if someone thinks that I I'm a show off, because I'm just showing up as myself, authentically myself. And then we're able to use our discernment on what people are saying to us. Because, of course, some people are going to have great feedback that we need to take on. And when we make a mistake, we need to take ownership over the mistake and make an amends. But we get to discern what is for us and what is not for us. And I think a lot of the time for moms, we have so much feedback on how to be a good mom and what we should be doing, and especially when we have gone through a spiritual awakening, and we have these outside of the normal box ways of parenting, but then are still feeling that impact of projections on us. It can just weigh us down to the point where we don't have energy to do anything. And so I feel really passionate about building that self-love for women like us who can really step into knowing what is for our children and be able to let go of those projections. Yes, I feel it. It gives me chronic fatigue very often. Yeah, definitely. And so when we are being called to parent differently, this comes back to stepping out of those generational cycles, right? We are the cycle breakers. We need to have that self-love and that protection to let go of other people's projections. Because I guarantee my parents do not agree with the way that I parent. Right? I was being spanked up until I was at least 10 years old. And I'm doing something different, which means that I need to have that protection so that I'm okay with having other people think something different of me. It's what is needed. It has to go hand in hand with us deciding to do something outside of the norm. We need to have this aspect, or we're going to, yes, Marissa, have that chronic fatigue holding us stuck. It's just super powerful. And so this goes on to understanding where we're anchored. And I want to talk about this a little bit. So most of society is anchored externally. And when I say anchored, it's where how our worth is defined. So when our worth is defined externally, where we're anchored externally, this is when we need to find our worth outside of ourselves. Arena, you said, I don't have a problem with this. I think I'm aware of other people's opinions. That is all, but the authenticity and real me, it isn't easy to reach her. Yeah. So just being able to reach that trueness within ourselves, right? And so I find that I show up differently with different people. And this was something that I was aware, I gained awareness of recently, that I was like, I show up powerfully with some people, but then I will still show up differently with other people that don't have the same views as me. And I'm bringing a different energy in those relationships. And so being able to hold that authentic self, and when we fully love ourselves, we are able to find that authenticity. And Marissa, oh wow, I do this too, especially with family members. Yeah. And I realize that showing up with a different energy, and this is something I look at within my programs, and I'm gonna go, I'm getting sidetracked, but when we bring an energy into a relationship, we're going to have a different response, right? And so if we come off as this unsure and um, not lacking confidence energy in a relationship, then we're going to have feedback, right, from another person based on that energy. And so we can really truly, when we can truly advocate and stand up for our children and be able to hold that energy of confidence within ourselves and show up authentically, that's where we move mountains. That's where we can really, really make a difference in our children's lives, our family, and then and just it's just a ripple effect. That's what healing does. Is we heal ourselves, and then it just ripples out, which is really powerful. But so getting back to anchors. So when we are anchored externally, we are forever chasing that worth. Like me, that means that's worthy. If I'm getting that feedback from someone that I've done a good job, okay, that means I'm worthy. If I, I don't know, if I don't know how else for worth, if related to motherhood, if I make a batch of cookies and bring it to my children's school, then that means that I'm worthy. If I have my kids all presented well and they're clean and they're well behaved and I get approval for that, that means that I'm worthy. So we're always chasing that worth, and you can feel that energy. It's like, like, please like me. Like, I need you to like me. Whereas when we have that deep love for ourselves, we are anchored internally. Our worth is not defined by others. We are worthy. And when we come with this power of I am worthy of being seen, I'm worthy of being heard, I'm worthy of being understood, I'm worthy of support. This is where the magic is, because when we hold that energy, that is what we are creating from that. And so finding the self-love helps us anchor in that worth within us. And that is where, when our beliefs are shifting within our subconscious mind, and we're really creating the circumstances that we truly desire. This was seen with Cooper's birth. And, I had 2 traumatic births where I was just left by myself at my house, where my husband worked 12-hour days. And I was just had cesareans, and I was left by myself to do all of it, and then to have, 4 years later, being supported. Like, I couldn't imagine a more supported birth. And the miracles that were present for me. And I know that it was because of the work that I did, moving my anchor from external to internal, being able to really, really, truly understand that I am worthy of being supported. And that shifts everything, and really, really, truly created the circumstances of Cooper's birth and how it played out. Okay, so getting off track, but that self-love is really, really helpful, really important, for that protection of being able to not project or take on other people's projections of ourselves and taking on what they believe to be it, what they're saying to be a belief about ourselves, and then being able to have that anchor within us, and being able to then discern what is for us and making amends, and without that extra anxiety of, oh my goodness, I made a mistake and they might be mad at me. And this really helps us move out of codependency as well, because when we take on other people's emotions, it's not about us. And we can't hold space for other people when we are concerned that their emotions are about us. They create their own emotions. They are responsible for their own emotions, and we can hold space for them. But if your husband is angry, and every time he is angry or upset, you're running to him going, "What did I do?" Well, it's not going to create the circumstances that you want in your life. And it's not going to help him to be able to take responsibility for his own emotions either. And so it's really around that the boundaries that we have, and not and knowing that that anchor is within us. So moving on to boundaries, how are we doing? We're really going deep today. So let's just take another deep breath in and out, wiggling your fingers and your toes. And so talking about boundaries, and if we go back to worrying that, you know, that we're always the one doing something wrong, if that's the belief that we have, we're going to see it from that perception. It's not truth. But if we always are thinking that we are the ones that are doing the things that are wrong, we're always messing up, that then we're going to see that, that's a perception, and that lens that we're wearing. Our subconscious mind will go, okay, so it is, and you'll continuously think that you're always the one messing up, but that's not the truth. And so really important to have boundaries, and boundaries are not punishment for others. It's not like you messed up and so now I'm going to put a boundary up. Boundaries are because you love yourself. I love myself so deeply, I'm not going to let you speak to me that way. I love myself so deeply that I'm not going to go to a party that I don't feel good about going to. I love myself so much, I'm not going to have a conversation with you about this topic because my peace is more important. And so when we're talking about boundaries, it's how can I stay in my peace and in my power? And so if I'm getting triggered every time I talk to my mom about stupid vaccines, well, then it's a boundary that I need to put in place. And so it's just having an awareness around what we're creating. Because when we can understand, and we're going into creation now, but when we can understand that we are always creating based on our thoughts and our emotions, we realize how powerful we are and how important our emotions are and our thoughts are. And that's why we need the boundaries, because we're not playing anymore with people that are going to continuously step over boundaries that you've put in place. No, I can't. You're not allowed to speak to my children that way. You're not allowed to have those kind of conversations with me. And so and these are things that I've had to put boundaries in place with in my life. But when we can understand that, we can then protect our peace and our power. And so this moves on into on the question that I had for you is, where in your life do you need to keep to have boundaries to keep yourself in peace, empowerment? So just thinking about that for a second, thinking about areas of your life where you're not in your power, where you're finding yourself blaming others, where you find yourself getting triggered, and what boundaries can you put in your life? No worries. Thank you for being here, Irene. Um, so really, really, really important. So Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. I was also going to say that the self love really helps us to stay in our power. And being able to fully love ourselves and being able to give ourselves compassion helps us to take down our ego. And what I mean by that is our ego is trying to protect us. And so when we make a mistake, our ego comes up and we go quickly to blaming others. And oh, well, I just do so much around here, and if you were able to do a little bit more, that wouldn't have happened, and not taking accountability. And that is us not being in our power. But what's actually happening is our ego is saying that I work so hard and I do so much, and that's why this happened. But what we're doing is we're not actually being able to have compassion for ourselves. And so the self-love, when we love ourselves, we can actually give ourselves compassion for mistakes. We're able to go, oh wow, I'm sorry I made that mistake. I'm sorry that I forgot to do that. I'm sorry that um, I wasn't able to make it to your swimming lessons or whatever it was. We're able to take accountability, and that helps us stay in our power. And that's something that I work with really closely with my clients, is being able to take back our power. But we can't do that without self-love. We can't do that without the compassion for ourselves. And so the self-love is really, really an important key. So moving into creation. And so this is what we really want, right? This is, of course, we want to love ourselves, but we really want our circumstances to be different. We want to be able to create our truest desires. And so when we can go back to the subconscious mind for a second, go back to the picture of the ship and understand that the ship is being moved, our circumstances in life are based upon what is in the subconscious mind. And we cannot consciously choose what we want to create without going through that descent, without clearing out the subconscious mind. When we clear out the subconscious mind, we feel our feelings, we lift the shame, the guilt, the anger, we take responsibility for our actions, we listen to our inner voice, we validate and listen to our emotions. When these things are accessible for us, based on the self-love that we're giving us, we can truly create what we want in life. And so creation is, we have the beliefs about ourselves, and from our beliefs, we're going to be able to create thoughts. And so if I have the belief that a good mother puts their kids to bed every night, and so then from that belief, if I'm not able to put my kid to bed at night, my belief is I'm a bad mom. Right? And so from those thoughts that are created from the beliefs, we're going to have feelings, shame, guilt, frustration, and those are the emotions that are showing up. And so from those emotions, we're going to create circumstances in our life. And so when we can go back to the beginning, and this is in your workbook, this the way that we create, and we can go back and look at, okay, shifting our beliefs, we're able to shift our thoughts, and then our feelings, emotions, and then that's going to change the circumstances in our life. And this is what I work with clients with our trauma sessions, is being able to have an awareness around what is driving our subconscious mind, and then being able to consciously decide what you want to create in your life. And this is where the transformation is. This is where we see the miracles. And this plays out in, in every client that I've had has been able to see the shifts within them, which is really, really testament to the power of this work. And so talking about, so we have creation and how we create, but then the law of attraction as well. And so the law of attraction, as I mentioned, is that we attract the exact vibration of that which we are. And so when we can create from a frequency of love, we create miracles in our life. And this is truly why I believe that I'm able to create what I'm able to create, is because I've done the descent, because I have looked at each and every dark shadow of my life, and I've really sat with the darkness, held the darkness with compassion. And we with when we do that, when we can move through the descent, that's when we are shifting our baseline frequency, and then really attracting at a higher vibration. And so, yeah, I guess that if there, that is about it. So, do you have any questions? I'm going to go into just talking a little bit about the programs I have to offer. But we've gone for an hour and a half. I've done well trying not to go over, knowing how valuable your time is. And we've spoken about a lot today. And just want to reiterate how important it is to sit and journal and take time to process everything that we've spoken about today. And you will get the recording, if you're here live, or you're able to rewatch the recording over and over. And just being able to, sit with this new awareness. And then being able to move through it, knowing that when we stir up the things that have been suppressed, one, it's feeling a little bit uncomfortable, but two, when we can move it, that's when we're going to see those shifts. So being aware today just about, and this week, that usually takes about a week to integrate any kind of energy work, but being able to, ground yourself. So spending some time outside, and taking a bath with Epsom salts would be lovely. Drinking lots of water, especially if you're watching this during the day. And Marissa in Australia, having a day after this, just being able to really flush out all the energy that we have been stirring up today. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about, about the programs that I offer and the work that I do. So our inner work and really investing in ourselves, I truly believe, is invaluable. I wouldn't trade all the money in the world for the coaches that I've had, and the healing that I've done. And really, when you can understand from a creation, and when I say creation, it's exact same as manifestation. This is how we manifest. So when we can truly create what we want in our lives, it's invaluable. My life has shifted so much in the last year, and I couldn't in my wildest dreams have pictured where I am now. And so I know that that was only possible because of the work that I've done. And so looking at your life, do you want to be in the same space that you are in now in 1 year, in 5 years? What would happen if you stayed the same? And vice versa, what would happen is if you were able to hold your deepest, darkest places within yourself and to really embody self-love and to create what you truly desire in your life, what could be possible? We're going to do a meditation to end, a manifestation meditation, envisioning process. So stay with me, but just a little bit about my work. So it's one of the biggest blessings of my life to watch women come through my 4-month container, completely different than where they started. Their lives are transformed. And this is what I want for you as well. And so I have two different containers that I offer. So my signature container is the Empowered Mother, and this is the 4-month container. And this is where we do a deep dive on healing, shifting limiting beliefs, taking back our power, gaining emotional mastery. Really, really, truly transformational. This past 4 months, I had a mother in my container that at the beginning that she really thought that she was broken, and being able to come out and realize how powerful she is, and knowing that she can create her wildest dreams is really truly life changing. Um, and not only life changing for herself, but being able to have that ripple into her family is really, really powerful. And so I have the 4-month container, and then I'm offering a 6-month container, and this is the Limitless Motherhood container. Um, and this is really for moms that are ready to just transform their lives and do that deep dive. And so we work on your mission, your purpose, time management, emotional mastery, taking back your power, forgiving yourself, trauma processes, upsets. And then we work in your manifesting and creating what you truly desire in your life. So those are my two coaching programs that I do. Um, and so this one-on-one coaching, I'm taking new clients for January now. And so with watching this masterclass, there is a special deal that you will get a $200 off if you pay for before December 22nd. So if this is something you feel called to, and you're wanting to work with me, it doesn't need to be fully paid. If you need a payment plan, they are available. But just have a think, so that it is, sorry, Cooper's birthday is on December 22nd. So if you do feel called, there's a $200 off before the 22nd. And I'm just going to pop up my pricing for you so you can see it here. So I'll just share my screen. Let me see if I can do this. So these are my the different packages. And so as I explained, um, the Empowered Mother is the 4-month container. And so that is $2,499. And then the Limitless Mother is the 6-month container. And so that's 4,500. And so we can do monthly payments, installments for those if needed. And then and then the other package I didn't mention, but if you are only interested in doing the trauma sessions, I do offer a 5 package session for those, and so that's 898 for 5 trauma sessions. And whereas the containers, you have access to me at any point to voice notes and messages for support. The trauma sessions doesn't have that. So those are my packages. I will send this pricing list off in an email for you to have a look at with that $200 coupon. Does anyone have any questions? I think that is it. So we're going to end off with a meditation. This is really, really important to me, is being able to access what we truly desire. So many people come into my world and don't even know what they truly desire. And so when we spend so much time in survival mode, we're not able to get into that energy of what we want to create. And so what we want to do is be able to step into putting our attention, our thoughts, our emotions into where we want to create in our life, because that is how we manifest. We manifest with our thoughts and our emotions. And so being able to have that power of mind, which is what we get when we release all our trauma, when we have that power of mind and we can consciously choose to energize what we want, that's how we're bringing in what we truly desire. So that's what we're going to do right now. So I'm not going to put the music on, unfortunately, but the experience is going to be just as powerful. So what we're going to do is we're just going to close our eyes down. I'll explain it first, and then I will get you to. We're going to do some breath work to start off, and just connecting into consciousness, um, into that oneness within us. And when we are connecting in, we're just going to energize the feeling of desire, energize what we truly desire in our life, and see if a mental image comes up, and just being able to sit with that, um, energizing that full body yes feeling for us in our life. So, what we're going to do, we're just going to, the breath work we're going to do is just 4 breaths in, breathing in as deeply as possible, and then breathing out as deeply as possible. 4 breaths, 4 breaths in, 4 breaths out. We're going to do that for a minute. And then I'm going to connect us in, and just really picturing what we truly desire in our life and what would happen if everything came true. And this doesn't need to be logical. It doesn't need to be like, oh, like I could see that in 10 years I could be happy in a job that I'm making a decent amount of money. Like that's not what I want. I want you to really connect into that oneness, into the your inner knowing, and it does not need to be logical. What could be possible? Mine is that, I'm creating a movement, changing the world, having, being world renowned, and really um, impacting mothers all over the world. And so being able to step into what you truly, truly desire, because sometimes it can feel scary and we don't even want to access it because it makes us feel vulnerable. But let's try today to just really step into that energy, because when we can fully, fully put ourselves in that experience, that's when we can be able to create that. We're putting our attention where, and that's where our energy is flowing. So closing your eyes down, getting comfortable. And if you can't do this, if you're driving and you're listening to me, shut this off, and then you'll be able to um, listen to it another time. Because I don't recommend closing your eyes while you're driving. Okay, so if you are ready and you're with me right now, just going to put a timer on. All right. Okay. Closing your eyes down, taking a deep breath in and out. 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 Last one. Deep breath in and out. Staying connected, keeping your eyes closed, connecting in to this love within, this love that is you, that's all around you. This is the truth of who you are. And just connecting into that yearning for more. That feeling, that full body feeling of, yes, this is what I want. This is what I want. Letting consciousness guide you to a place where you are so happy. You've made it. This is what you desire. Just expanding consciousness here. Where are you? What are you doing? Who are you surrounded by? What are you wearing? Sitting with this aspect of yourself, knowing that time is an illusion. Put yourself there. Energize this moment. Describe it in your mind and open up this picture. Quantum physics states that if we can envision it, it is possible. It is for us. Knowing that this is true. Really taking a mental picture of where you're at. Taking a deep breath in and out. Another deep breath in and out. Coming back to this present moment. Wiggling your fingers and your toes. Moving your body however you need. Writing in the chat if you want what came up for you. This is what we need to energize. Taking the time to journal about this experience, journal about what came up, and knowing that you can go back to this experience. The past and the present only exist within your mind. And the only moment we have is this now moment. And so we can create from the past. We can create from our trauma, or we can create from what we truly desire, our highest version of ourselves. And what can be really powerful is when you have a moment and you can feel yourself spiraling. You can hear the negative talk. You have the awareness. Ask yourself, which version of myself am I creating from? My past younger self or my future highest self? And even being able to that just shifts our lens. How would this highest version of yourself handle the situation that you're currently in? How would your highest self move? When we can focus our attention on what we truly desire, that is where we are creating from, which is really, really, really powerful. This session has been filled with so much truth and Yeah, an awareness. I really believe that I'm meant to be a disruptor. I am meant to stir emotion and be able to guide healing. And so I hope that today you've been able to have some golden nuggets that you take away, um, be able to have some awareness, and have compassion for yourself for those darker aspects and being able to sit with them and know that that is really the self-love is really the key to shift. If you have any questions about this masterclass, or any questions around the integration work, please let me know. Um, and oh, and we have to do the draw. Let me. So I put a contest on Facebook, and so that person who I'm going to do a draw of anyone that liked and followed me, as well as um, anyone that tagged anyone else, was entered into the draws. Okay. We do the drum roll. The winner, get it? The winner is Leah. So Leah, you weren't able to make it live, but I will contact you. Um, so congratulations. So you get one session with me of your choice. And I'll set that up with you, which is really exciting. But yes, so I will be sending an email with this recording, with my pricing list, the coupon, and um, you already have the integration work. But if you have any questions, please reach out. And if you have any feedback, I would love to hear your takeaways. Um, and yeah, lots of love. Mm. Love you.